What's going on, everybody? We are headed to New Jersey Motorsports Park for the first event of the season. I'm excited, a little bit nervous because I'm pushing the car a little harder now than I ever have. So who knows if something's gonna break? Who knows, you know? But yeah, so it should be fun racing against, quicker cars. Should be a little bit more challenging. It'll definitely make me push myself. So yeah, I'm excited. And yeah, let's see what happens. Alright, so we're all set. Car is ready. So as you can see, we got the new numbers on, new decals. So yeah. So we're ready to go. I'm excited. First race of the year, always a little bit nervous. See what happens. Alright, so that was super interesting, I'll say. The car was definitely very pitchy. This much downforce, I don't think the Kona yellows can kind of dampen that pitching. It's kind of my guess at the moment. I'm going to pull the splitter off, look at the biscuits, see where it's scraping. I might go like up a turn in the front end evenly. I might also do some like makeshift, splitter supports on the front because I don't know if that's kind of flexing a little bit and touching the ground as well. That kind of made me not have the the confidence to really push the car, because on the straightaway the car would just kind of bounce and almost like scrape a little bit. So yeah, I gotta come up with something before qualifying. I also got to get on the dyno, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So if I get a DQ during the race, is what it is. This is more of like a learning weekend for me, so stay tuned. Alright, so here's what we got after one run. The biscuits are doing their thing. You can see they're getting, ground down. Most of the wear is on the left side, which makes sense because it's primarily right-hand turns, so the car is leaning towards the left more. I'm pretty much just going to go up a turn in the front and probably replace these biscuits already. Oh, and the shocks are only adjustable in rebound, so I'm pretty much just going to stiffen them all up and see what happens. Alright, so I didn't get the chance to do a post-qualifying snip at the track, so I'm going to do it right now. I did end up going up a turn on the spring perches to raise the splitter a tiny bit more. If you remember from an episode or two ago, one turn is 1/8 of an inch. By the time, at the strut, by the time you get to the splitter, it'll almost be like 1/4 of an inch if you think of it that way. I did that. I did not get a chance to do any splitter struts. I ended up doing that later. And yeah, the 109.5 whatever is the fastest I ever went. So I was happy about that, despite a little bit of traffic up over 5 and having to kind of almost coast the last couple hundred yards down the straightaway. So, you know, the car had speed. I looked over my data, and I'm going to do a whole separate video on how to dive into data to look at aerodynamic gains and stuff. But the G-forces were way up, especially in that long right-hander at the end of the lap. So all the signs were pointing in a good direction. So I'm not going to play the whole entire race. That would just make this episode, this is a little bit more of like how the weekend went, the behind-the-scenes stuff. In a separate video, I'll just put up my raw, unedited, full-length race if you're interested in that. So check that out if you want to see the whole race. So we'll watch the first lap headed into turn 1. It gets a little bit exciting there. The other thing I did between qualifying and the race was I went up yet another turn on the front spring perches, and I made some makeshift splitter supports out of some 1/8 inch flat steel that I had in my trailer. So as you can see, during the race, you know, it wasn't scraping nearly as bad, which was good. But the car definitely lost something just raising it that far off of the ground, you know. So I got to definitely come up with something and come up with a better solution for that. video. So yeah, this race was super interesting. Starting P2 in class, third overall. The black car was a unlimited car, so that's an out of class car. You can see the horsepower discrepancy with the Corvettes, obviously. I was able to hang on to second for a few laps, but the Corvettes ended up catching me a couple laps in. Blew by me on the straightaway. I tried kind of making it a little bit hard for him, but just kind of outbroke myself. Went off. Ended up having to go around. I came back in to have somebody just wipe the grass off of the grill. Otherwise, I would have overheated. And then went back out. I didn't lose a lap, but I was so far... I didn't lose a lap, but I was so far back by that point. I stayed in it just in case a yellow came out. If a yellow came out, it would have bunched us up. I maybe could have caught some of the back markers, but I think I ended up catching one person in class and finished 6 out of 7 or something like that. So, you know, learning experience, still fun, still a good time, and yeah, car was still in one piece, so that's always good. So you can see I had a nice little off-track excursion here. So we got to get all this back on today. You can see we got a nice rainy day out. So we'll put the wet tires on. We'll go back up, or I'm sorry, down a turn on the front perch. Maybe do a slight rain setup if we have to swap tires. But other than that, I think we're good after kind of getting everything squared away yesterday with the splitter. Alright, so we're getting ready for the first rain session. You can see we got the RA1s on. The RA1 is a carryover from my American Iron stuff. That was the spec tire that we had to use. Everybody else is on Hoosiers, but anyways, at least my car will make some cool spray. So that should be cool. We'll see what we get out of it, and that's about it right now. So this was super cool, the fact that I qualified P1 in the rain on Toyos. You know, I was super excited about that. It's the first time I've ever started a race on pole. You know what, take that back. Nationals, I've done it, but a regional race with NASA, first time. So this is pretty exciting. Car felt pretty good, all things considered. So yeah, time to get ready for the race. Alright guys, so that's about it for this one. I ended up hanging on to second for a couple of laps, then I ended up getting caught by Doug Winston, so ended up finishing third. So can't really complain about that. All in all, pretty good weekend, pretty successful. Learned a ton. Like I mentioned, full unedited races, I'll just upload by themselves if you want to go watch those. I'm also going to do a video going over the data with the new Aero setup as well. So thanks again for hanging out with us, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Want to be on video? I gotta definitely come up with something and come up with a better solution for that. Hi, kitty. You're nice. GoPro, stop recording.